Submitted for the approval of the Midnight Society.
Oh, joy!
Let's rock.
It makes me wanna fart!
Dear Journal, it's me, Doug.
You have it!
Baby's gotta do what a baby's gotta do.
That was a hoot!
On your mark. Get set.
Oh, here it goes!
Welcome back, Slimesters, to another episode of Splat Attack, where we're taking it back to the slime-filled past. I am your co-host, Bret.
I am your other co-host, Alex Nance. And Bret, again, I see somebody else here.
Yeah, people just keep flooding into our studio. I don't know where they're all coming from, but we're happy to have the visitors. Would you like to introduce yourself, special guest?
My name is Joe Treu. I was on Legends of the Hidden Temple, Season 3.
That's right. That was the episode called The War Fan of the 47 Ronin, June 27th, 1995.
Or as they pronounced it, the 47 Ronin.
The legend of the war fan of the 47 Ronin.
Oh, the war fan of the 47 Ronin!
Yeah. Olmec was very exaggerated with his inflictions, because if I remember correctly, D. Bradley Baker, who was like operating inside the Stonehead, the giant mouth, he was like doing all the voices for the legend too. So he had quite the task to perform every single episode. I'm just astounded that he was able to do like literally 120 episodes of that throughout the course of the series, and still doing stuff today. I mean, if you look at his credits on IMDb, it's at least 600 entries, which is very impressive for a voice actor. Let's get down to brass tacks. We're here to talk about Legends in honor of the reboot that's coming out October 11th. It might already be out, depending on when this episode releases. Let's do a quick run through of it. And actually, we'll have a few moments to have Olmec speak too. Olmec, would you like to tell us the legend about the 47 Ronin?
Some of the boldest and most cunning warriors of old Japan were the 47 Ronin. As Lord Asano's bodyguards, they accompanied him to the palace of the Shogun, the ruler of Japan. But somehow the evil Lord Kira still managed to do away with Asano. Kobayashi, #1 samurai, called the others together.
Boys, we must have big time. And you know what that means.
We're unemployed?
That too. But now we're Ronin, outcasts. We must find a way to get even.
But Lord Kira was ready.
Double the walls, triple my guards, cancel my dental appointment. The Ronin are on the warpath.
For 2 years, Lord Kira waited for their attack, but the 47 Ronin were secretly plotting their revenge. Finally, Kira relaxed.
Those wimps, they'll never attack. Reduce the guard.
The next night, the Ronin crept across the snow. They fought valiantly through the guards and found Kira hiding in a bathroom. They did away with the evil lord, then surrendered to the Shogun. But instead of punishing them, he ordered their story be painted onto a war fan. Your quest is to find the war fan of the 47 Ronin and bring it back here.
Very nice, Olmec. Glad to hear it.
Always such a great storyteller.
Yeah.
I dare say better storyteller than C-3PO.
I do have to say, I enjoyed this Legends. Some of them are kind of boring or sound clearly made up, but I really like how they went through the details of how these Ronin essentially just revolted against their own Japanese empire, created an uprising. And I thought that pretty entertaining from a historical lesson. If not the one fact that the emperor hid in the bathroom while the battle was going on. That's like the one standout fact.
Yeah, I got that question right.
You did. I noticed. Very, very impressive. You were actually really good on the steps of knowledge. I think, if I remember correctly, you were the first one to ring in of the questions, and you were just keeping the pressure on with the silver snakes, the blue barracudas, and the green monkeys.
Yeah, it was kind of funny because we got down to the bottom first, and if you see in the video, you can see me like I was already at the bottom, but I tapped again just to like, what's going on? See if I maybe I can win the whole game. No. But funny thing was, it was super hectic filming. Getting us in and out so fast. When they started recording that portion of the show, before each event, they kind of do like a super fast overview to kind of tell the kids, you're going to stand here, you're going to go here. And I mean, it's like lightning fast. They go through it. Like the transition from them explaining what's going on to like action. I thought that was still like a dry run or something. Like I did 3/4 of the way through is when I realized I was like, oh crap, I think we're actually filming. So it was kind of funny at the beginning. I didn't even think it was the real deal yet.
Yeah, from what I remember, they filmed at a breakneck pace, like I think around 6 episodes a day. I don't know if they still did that during season 3, but they definitely did that with season 1 when they were still working out the kinks. Half the time you didn't even know if it was filming or not. You just had to play along, and no matter how ridiculous Kirk sounded with his comments, or if Olmec stuttered, you just got to roll with it because they're on a tight budget, tight schedule, and just got to make sure they get it out in time to air on the network.
The in-between filming sessions, because I think it was like 5 episodes a day they film or something like that. So they'd rush us out there. We would do our event or our challenge, whatever it was, try to get through it. And then as soon as that was over, they say, okay, go in the back room. And they had like video games set up and pizza and stuff like that. But it felt like hours, like sitting back there for like 2 hours between takes. I mean, it was like boring sitting back there, but all the kids were kind of crammed into the same room. It felt small. It was pretty funny. But when we finally got, they come in the room, they open the door, like, is it us? No, they call somebody else.
Yeah. I mean, at least they put some effort to keep you entertained, because otherwise it'd be like waiting in the doctor's office until Olmec calls you to be examined.
Yeah. And like the flow difference was like high pressure, fast paced for like a couple minutes, and then go sit for 2 hours and do nothing. You know what I mean? And then like immediately go back to like fast paced and then go sit for 2 hours. So it was like, all day long, that kind of thing. So
yeah, very, very start stop cadence going on there. I do remember in my research seeing that they would like tape all the segments at once. So like if they did 5 or 6 shows a day, they'd do like all the moat crossings in one go, and then all the steps of knowledge in one go, and so on and so forth for efficiency's sakes. But I can imagine it's hard to like keep track of the legend and all the stuff you had to do and keep your energy up in the meantime, in between those breaks while the other contestants were kind of going through the show, right?
Yeah, definitely. And like we didn't really know what was coming up next. I don't maybe they mentioned it to us, but it was such a long time ago. I don't recall if they told us, okay, we're doing this next or what. So we're just kind of sitting there waiting, playing like SNES or something or whatever was out in 94, 95. So
yeah. I'm kind of curious if they gave you any of the Nickelodeon video games to play for like self-promotional purposes.
Play Guts while you're waiting. Man, I would rather be on
there
this
you go.
show.
Well, you'll get your practice into audition for Guts while you're waiting on Legends or Double there. Imagine that.
Yeah.
Well, before we get into the episode itself, do you remember how it came about with you actually being able to get on the show?
Yeah. Me and my buddy Jason back, we were in middle school. We would always watch a TV show, and we like wanted to be on Guts. We're like, oh man, we would do so good. Like everybody, every kid thinks they're going to do awesome and they're going to win. So we always thought that would be super fun, but zero idea about getting on the show. Like, you're just a kid, you just talk about it. But one day we were walking into the middle school, Discovery Middle School. So walking into, I guess maybe 7th or 8th grade, whatever grade we were in, walking into the library. At the front of the library, when you first walk in, there's kind of like a little reception type desk, like when you first walk in. Right on the center of the desk, taped to the bottom of it, it was a orange piece of paper that said like tryouts for Legends of the Hidden Temple, call this number. And we're like, wow, oh crap. We're like, oh. So we both wrote the number down, and then I think my mom might have called it, set up set up an appointment for you to go down there and try out. So that's how we got the direction of going, getting on the show.
Very cool. Once you got there, did you like get a chance to take a tour of like the different shows that were at Nickelodeon Studios, or what was kind of the process like once you got there? I'm curious.
I do recall, it's hard to fragment memory of this, all the stuff.
Sure.
Yeah, it's
being a kid and like overwhelmed with everything. But I do recall at one point we toured. I don't know if this was the same day's auditions or another day, but at one point we toured. I think it was Clarissa Explains It All, and it was a live set, so that was kind of cool. So I mean, I remember like walking kind of on like a mezzanine up high towards the back, and then they were like down lower filming, and they were like filming the show. So we just kind of walked by and looked at it, and that was neat. So we do recall touring then. I'm not sure if that was the same day as auditions, but the auditions it was crazy how many kids were there. I feel like there was thousands of kids there. Like thinking back, tons.
It was highly competitive. Just to get a spot.
Big time. When we first got there, there was just like a sea of kids. I just remember seeing kids everywhere, right? And it was at the Universal Studios, like one of the lots, kind of like an open, like a giant warehouse. Maybe it was a sound stage or something like that, but it was, sliding doors were open and everybody gets in line, and then you checked in. And at that point, I think they maybe they gave us a sticker with a number on it or something like that. I don't recall how they kept track of us, but I do remember it was some type of number. We must have been wearing a sticker or something.
Sure.
But you get in line, and then it was this huge warehouse set up, and there was like obstacle course stations, like as you go through the warehouse, and there was like a employee or a team member there for Legends or Nickelodeon with like a clipboard with like all this stuff on it. So you go in line, and then when it's your turn, they say, okay, you got to balance across this beam, or jump from here to there. One of the ones that stood out to me, which I did super good on, was there was like a 10-foot diameter disc. They had like a wooden peg in the bottom of it, and it's like on an angle. And there was like a bunch of like grip tape, like skateboard grip tape on there. And they said, okay, climb up to the top of that. So you like climb from the bottom and like stay at the top. And they say, okay, try to stay at the top of this. And they like pull the peg out, and then it starts like rotating because it's on a thing. So you have to like super go back and forth, and stay at the top. So I was able to, kids, they had a bunch of like padding around the sides. Kids were falling off and stuff like that. But I did pretty good on that one. I was able to stay at the top, which was neat. And then they said, okay, get back, get down, and then go to the next station. Another one was like they did like the little relay race back and forth. So I'm assuming they grade you based on, some type of grading based on, your number and your performance. And then they turn all that data in. I'm guessing that's how they pick people.
Yeah. Yeah. Legends is a very stat heavy game show compared to other ones. I know there's this website called the King Storeroom that was built around the dawn of like the internet 1.0, back when AOL was popular. That where they just kept track of like all those stats of like which teams did the best in this category and how many teams made it to the temple and all this other stuff. And it was just mind blowing to kind of go through that in preparation for this and our other Legends episode to think about just the kinds of physical demands that contestants had to go through, not even just auditioning to get on the show, just like all the different obstacles one after another, and then still have enough energy to get through it all. It's a real test of fortitude there.
Is that website still active?
It is. It's called the King's Storeroom. Just type that in Google and you'll find it. And it's like a very, very nonchalant, ugly website with a Legends pendant repeating background in orange. But it's really helpful as a resource for any diehard Legends fan. They have all the episodes listed. They got like all the temple layouts, temple guard placements, paths that kids went through the temple. There's also like questions, temple game stats of like who lost, who won, who pendants. Just mind-blowing stuff. Like the amount of dedication people put into game shows like this never ceases to amaze me. But at the same time, I can understand it, because as I was one of those kids yelling at the TV to like, go faster, go up that room, go there, living vicariously through the contestants, I can see how some people also channeled their passion to make it live on, like in the example of the website.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. I've seen a couple things with some, stats of like the Purple Parrots did it this time, and they have it all laid out with, all the different accomplishments of, each team. It's crazy.
It's a conspiracy theory board of a website.
Yeah, they should really just redesign it to look like a cork board with like pictures of contestants and like Olmec and Kirk Fogg and the temple guards, and have like all that red yarn on push pins connecting everywhere and a little bit of dinginess around it. That would really set the tone, because that's how you feel when you're doing the research. It's like, okay, I'm sifting through all these individual stats to see who did what, and is this worthy of being a good episode? Is this a bad one? Is this just a poorly executed one? You don't even know. And considering there's 3 seasons worth, 120 episodes, it's a lot to go through.
Question for you, Joe. I stopped getting into Nickelodeon and kids TV shows whenever I was a teenager and started getting into junior high, because for me it was very much it's kid stuff anymore. I'm not that interested. And being in junior high, when you were chosen to be able to be on the show, what was your enthusiasm, and did your classmates get excited?
Yeah, definitely. So I think I was probably 13 when we started doing the audition, because at the beginning of 95, I think I turned 14 in July of 95. So everybody thought it was wild. I mean, my mom thought it was super cool. Everybody thought it was neat. Living in Orlando and like going to Universal Studios and Disney like kind of all the time. Back then it just, oddly enough, it didn't feel like out of the ordinary kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, we still watched it on TV and we still seen the people do it, but for us to be like, me and my buddy Jason, hey, let's get on Guts, and then we'll be a team. We plan on like, we'll do it together and then we'll do this kind of thing. we didn't get on Guts, but we got on Legends, and he actually got on as well. We both tried out. He was selected as well. So
do you remember either what Legend or what team he was on?
I don't remember which team he was on. I don't remember which Legend he was on. But he did lose at the Moat at the beginning.
Oh no!
Yeah,
that's got to be a kick in the pants.
Yeah, so he was like, "Man, what the hell?"
I mean, all things considered, you got pretty far because from what I recall, I believe the Moat crossing for you guys had to deal with like these inflatable lily pads that you had to like boards over. Am I remembering that right?
The one we had, it was hanging platforms.
Oh yeah, my bad.
Yeah, we had to. We had to go. I do recall, like in the middle of that, I told my teammate, I said, let's just like, I don't think it's a good idea for like one person to go and then try to wait for the other person. I said, we'll just like grab it and then step on at the same time with one foot and then step on this, the other time, so we can kind of go to the next one. And then that was our flow. So we didn't fall in the water or anything, but we made it across. So that was cool.
Yeah, it's the slow and steady approach because I was just blown away by how fast that event went. At least that's how they edited it on the episode. It was essentially like around 8 bars with like circular pedestals at the bottom, and you both had to like pick the right ones to get across, and if you picked the wrong one, it would like dip into the water and have to go back and start over. And I just remember like 10 seconds later, after I was being entranced by just the contraptions that everyone was on and all the like atmospheric foliage and stuff that they added in season 3 that it was already over, and I'm like, what? So
I had read that the Moat in particular, a lot of the time that the Moat and the Steps of Knowledge, they would often take quite a long time to film. And of course they would edit it down considerably, and I would imagine there would be a few that went pretty quickly, but the Moat in particular, I would imagine would take the longest time.
The timeline of like how long it took us or how long the filming was. I mean, I feel like it, in the middle of it, time flies when you're in the action, So hard to remember how long it took, but maybe it was 5 minutes or so, I'm guessing.
Yeah, I even remember reading too that even if the average Moat crossing took about 3 to 5 minutes, like on taping when it aired, some would even take as long as up to 30 minutes, like a full episode, just because some people just couldn't get across, or someone was like drowning in the Moat and they had to pull them out and dry them off and calm them down. So it was a very arduous process depending on the episode. But I feel like, with your particular obstacle from the 47 Ronin, it was just, easy peasy, just think straight, do it one at a time, and you're across. Which I think I commend you on doing it well with like so much audience pressure on you.
Yeah, live studio audience. They had live people in there, which was pretty wild too. So
as we talked about the Moat crossing with the pedestals, it turns out that the Red Jaguars, the Blue Barracudas, the Green Monkeys, and the Silver Snakes all made it across. So the Orange Iguanas and the Purple Parrots were disqualified in that one. I believe I didn't take particular note of the prizes because I'm like, prizes, whatever.
Prizes on Legends was so secondary. Nobody cared.
I'm pretty sure. I don't remember the first one for the Moat, but I remember the second one. It was like either shoes or like Nerds candy or like some board game no one ever heard of.
I'm pretty sure it was shoes. I had just watched it last night. I'm pretty sure it was shoes.
It was like Hush Puppies or BK Ratchetech or something that was popular at the time.
Yep. Yeah, it was funny. The prize for second place, I think they showed, the commercial comes on and it's like, oh, and they get up, these cool clothes. It's like some stupid clothes. It's like, I'm not wearing that,
Yeah.
But we didn't even get that prize. I got a karaoke machine.
What? Wow. That's like
didn't even get the prize that they
my gosh.
Which, so much for false advertising. I thought you were going to get like a warehouse case of Nerds after doing that.
No, they said, I think we were supposed to get clothing or something like that. And then, but they gave us karaoke machines. So we had these like decent karaoke machines that me and my buddy Dave just recorded prank calls with. So we like,
awesome. You could have started your own show with that. It's like Legends prank calls or something. And is this Olmec? Is your temple guard running?
Did you get to keep the shirt?
Yeah. They kept the shirts. We had to keep the clothing, and I recall they gave us shoes. We kept the shoes, like white New Balance or something like that. I kept the shirt, which I unfortunately have lost it. I don't know how I lost it, but I lost the shirt. And then we kept the nasty mouthpiece that we had.
Ew. It's funny. When I was a kid, I was around like 5 to 7 at the time over the course of the run of the show. ignorant me wasn't really into sports, and I thought those were orange slices you guys were holding in, because I used to do that with my
I thought that
my
too.
own food. Oh, I guess the rind protects your teeth when you're like falling through the temple.
yeah, that's funny. The whole process of when we got the mouth guards and the shoes and everything, like I remember like standing in kind of like a hallway somewhere on set on filming day, and like all of us were like up against the wall. I don't know how many kids there were, but there's several. And there was team, workers there with like a cup of like super hot water with like the formed mouth guard,
Oh yeah.
Open your mouth, and then they like, all the kids shove it in all these kids' mouths. They say, bite down,
Oh my
don't let go.
goodness.
So we're all standing there, like with our mouth guards being formed. That was kind of funny too.
You just gave me PTSD flashbacks of Little League. I remember doing the same thing too, getting that and making sure I buy my cleats and all that stuff. Moving on to the steps of knowledge. Obviously, your team, the Red Jaguars and the Silver Snakes won. When you were going through the steps, what was going through your head? Like, were the buttons on the floor of the steps, were they hard to press, or were they just like a simple touchpad kind of tap?
From what I recall, you didn't have to do it very hard. Must have been a pretty sensitive switch. It was. I don't recall like not hitting the button, when I tried. Yeah.
That's good to know, because I remember in earlier seasons seeing some contestants like really shove their foot into it as if they were like going to break their ankle, and sometimes it wouldn't even work. But I think that's just the nature of the fact that they were still working out the kinks and seeing what worked and what didn't work. And a lot of the stuff that they tried was literally films. There was no dry runs, no rehearsals. It was just that's what we got, because we only got this much for a budget.
It's also possible that, especially on the first season when they were just getting this going, that the kids were probably looking more at Kirk and Olmec and less on where their foot was, and just stomped and then looked down after. Oh crap!
Definitely overwhelming for sure. Like all the action going on, and stand here, you stand here, you stand here, and then everybody splits, and it's just okay, action, and then they start filming. Cool. But yeah, with the steps of knowledge, they when we were backstage, that was one of the times that they gave us a heads up of what was going to come next. I believe they gave us a paper with the story on it. They're going to quiz us on. So it's the same story that Olmec recites on the show, but we got to like a piece of paper to study the story backstage before we went on. So that was cool.
At least it gave you some preparation instead of throwing you into the deep end right off the bat, right? So after this came the Temple Games, and if I remember correctly, there was one with like this weird giant bouncy castle that reminded me of like the jungle gym thing in Chuck E. Cheese's, where you had to like jump through it and drop some inflatable samurai. What was that experience like for you? Because I know you were competing against Jeremy of the Silver Snakes, who is pretty fast on his feet.
I think that was like the whole reason we lost, because I lost my event, because I think the way they do it was there's like a solo event for each player, and then there's like a event together. So my partner, I don't think she won her solo event. I don't think she did, but
she did like the go underground and like try to match the rocks thing. And I just remember like, I can't even do that now. I'm 33 and I can't like match two blindly when someone else is like trying to switch them on me. What would that
game was the most absurd game in the entire thing.
Yeah.
And so I don't think she won that one.
No, she didn't.
Yeah, and then I lost mine too. But I do recall, like after watching, because at the end when we're all done, they gave us like a VHS tape. I don't remember if it was the same day. It had to have been later after it was edited, so it was before it aired. I think we got like a VHS tape, and I remember watching the tape because I lost on that event. So like I want to see like another perspective of what happened.
Sure.
But like if you watch it, like we're bouncing on the trampoline, getting ready to go into the offset hole, and there's an offset hole, and you have to like throw a inflatable temple guard down the hole.
Right.
But if you're watching, we're kind of like offset bouncing, and then like when he says go, he was like on an up bounce, so he went right in. I had to do a bounce, and then so if you watch the episode, you can see like, damn, when I was little, like the timing of the bounces. I should have stayed next to him or something, but.
Right. Literally, some of these events are so competitive. It's just mere fractions of a second that makes or breaks you. And I know you were just right there, just about to bang on your gong at the top, and he already did it before you. And it was just like shock to me, like, wow. Yeah. Like
I remember thinking, like, I could kind of see him through like the material, the fabric. I just remember being like, I can't catch him. Like, I can't. I was going as fast as I could, but I just couldn't make it through fast enough. So,
Well, I still give you credit for being able to do it that fast. Like you were on your game. You weren't no slouch.
That whole thing was quick. You guys were neck and neck the whole time.
So moving on from those two events, there was the Team Temple Guard event where you win 2 pendants or a full pendant of life instead of a half. And I believe you turned it around and brought it to a tie due to the event where it's like one of you is like suspended from the scaffolding thing and you had to like throw up a inner tube to them and they had to drop it on like this weird little pagoda device where it would like catch a bunch of rings, kind of like that baby toy. And I remember you guys won 2-0. How did that feel, and what was it like to like coordinate with your team member to secure that win for that event?
She did super good because she had I just had to throw it in the air. She had to catch it, and then they swing her back over, and then she had to drop it over the little peg to make it on there. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I remember thinking like, okay, maybe we got a chance, at that point when we're in the middle of that event. I do remember her being upset afterwards because it was like kind of rough on the kids dangling from the wire. Like if you watch you go back and watch, they're in that harness, but it's like it's getting like slack, and then it like falls down, and then so she was like pretty freaked out because how rough it was, but she was able to get those inner tubes on that thing, and then we got it, so that was cool. We tied it up.
Yeah, more power to her. I would have gotten nauseous if I was swinging up there because in addition to like zip lining back and forth on it, the scaffolding itself was swinging just due to the momentum going on. So it's like, am I going to fall off of this? Doesn't matter. I got to win. Drop her.
Right.
Yeah.
And then the people on set, they're tasked with the ropes to pull it back and forth. So they're trying to even more than spotters, they're the ones that are actually moving her back and forth. Right. So it's like, they're tasked with, not, going slow or something like that and trying to, make it as fast as they can as well. So it's almost like they're competing a little bit too, in the middle of it. So
it's almost like they're competing vicariously through the teammates they're helping. maybe they got some rivals backstage going on.
And a lot of times on behind the scenes movie magic, whenever a lot of the actors, when they've had to use the harnesses, they've remarked on how painful those things were, and you've just confirmed that, and just on doing Legends of the Hidden Temple, which makes me wonder how awful it was over on Guts, because most of the games on Guts required those kinds of harnesses, and that's just killer.
Moving on from the Temple games, I do remember that because you're able to make a comeback in that ring event, that you tied everything up with the Silver Snakes. So they actually brought out a tiebreaker pestle, which doesn't happen very often. Do you recall what went on then? Because I think the question had to do with like how many swords samurais carry 2 of.
It was what kind of weapon do they carry?
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yep, I recall that one too because I failed that one as well. So
you really didn't even get a chance because Kirk was still asking the question and started to give multiple choice, and he didn't even get to the swords yet. He gave option number 1, and they rung it.
I knew what the answer was. Like I as he was reading it, I mean, it's a samurai sword. That's what they carry swords. So katanas. The kid Jeremy just got there just right before I did. So yeah, that was another burn moment when you're a kid and you lose. It's like, oh. So
that kid, he's always like a fraction of a second ahead of you, and he
sure was. Yeah.
But as we see in the temple, he gets his karma because we're going to talk about what went down in the temple there.
Yeah. So funny thing. This is probably, I don't know. This is because at work, whenever I'm working somewhere, like it'll come up sometimes or whatever. Like we'll talk about like Nickelodeon or something like that, or things like that. And then the Legends stuff comes up. People that I work with, they'll tell somebody else. At one point, this is probably in 2010 or 11, something like that. We like found Jeremy on social media.
Oh, no way! No way!
I was like, "Hey man, this is Joe. Do you remember me? 1995?
The day you ruined my life."
You ruined my life. And then, I was like, talk about like an adult drunk rematch or something like that. But he never responded.
Oh man,
he was too cowardly.
Yeah,
it's okay, Joe. You were the better man.
Because me and my buddy Jason were trying to get on the show together, and when we both made it on the show, we're like, okay, cool. I wonder if we can like choose, but you don't get to pick who you're going to be with. They match it up based on those stats. I think like how you perform during the auditions. I'm guessing. Yeah. So they match you up with like, and it's usually like a male and a female, that are matched up. But the girl, or what was her name, Jillian, I think. I didn't know who she was.
The girl on your team was named Jillian with an O-N, and then the girl on the Silver Snakes team was named Elise.
Okay, yeah. Jillian, the girl that was on my team, I met her like the same day we went there for filming. They said, okay, here's your you're gonna be working with. So I didn't know who she was.
Did you have any time to get to know her? Like
just like the hour and a half or 2 hours in between filming. I don't know who she, like after the show, I never talked to her again, so.
I mean, that's understandable. I always thought that, maybe it's different for people who get through to the temple, but like if there's some sort of connection there that helps like start a friendship or something else. But yeah, I guess it's just show up and do your thing.
Yeah.
Like,
and
because they got a show to make.
We didn't have cell phones or, social media or anything like that. So it's like, you'd have to get a phone number and then, so I don't know. That was interesting. You didn't get to pick your friend.
Right? That's such a bummer because I feel like if you had a strategy plan before you got on a show, that would really help your odds. But I guess they're trying to make it as fair as possible. But I tell you, some of those temple runs I watched in preparation for this episode, they were really mismatched. You got like the speediest, smartest, fastest person alive on some teams, and then the other person's just like strolling through the park one day. Maybe I'll get to the other artifact one day. Just taking their time.
Yeah, we got to tour the temple as well, which was neat.
So cool. So you like went through the individual rooms either before or after the taping?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, but it was. I think it was before we started filming that day. They had a group of us, and we got to walk up and then go through. They let us walk through the temple, and they showed us this is here. I think some of it was for like don't fall out here, and careful.
Mm-hmm.
These kind of things, but that was cool. So
and also to give you a basic rundown of how you're supposed to do the run, so that way when you get in it, you're not
right. Because the success rate was so low as it was, So.
Right. I'm kind of curious. I don't know if you remember the rooms too well from season 3. Luckily, there was only one layout that never changed, unlike the previous seasons. If you had to pick one room of the 12 rooms in the temple, which one would you be your favorite and why?
I believe, you can correct me if I'm wrong, it might have been from watching the show, but I think there was the skeletons, like Room of the Kings or something, and there was skeletons sitting at a table, or
the Tomb of the Headless Kings. That would be the bottom center of the temple.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. So that one was really neat. It just kind of had like a Goonies, One-Eyed Willie vibe to it. When I was a kid, I loved Indiana Jones and all that kind of stuff. So Legends of the Hidden Temple was like awesome back then. But,
it was a dream come true.
But yeah, I think that room is the that was still the silver, the Shrine of the Monkey. That was a cool one, just because everybody
the infamous puzzle.
The puzzle, yeah. And I still think to myself, I'm like, there's no way I wouldn't get that. You know what I mean? It's like I would definitely put that thing together. We got to play with it when we did the tour. We got to.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So that was cool.
Wait a minute. They let you mess with the silver monkey before the taping, and there were still that many kids who didn't know how to do it.
Yep.
Oh my goodness.
Well, they probably realized. they probably realized it's so bad, so hard. That's like to get the base settled in, and then if all that stuff is lined up, and then the middle piece you can't tell what's front and back and upside down. So
it's very finicky.
Yeah. But Headless Kings was pretty cool. A skeleton room. I thought that was neat.
Both great choices. I would definitely agree with you for that as the season 3 rooms. I would also add the Dark Forest because it had a nice ambient feeling to it, and also that extra creep element to it, that if you reached into the wrong tree to try and find the key to go into the next room, the temple guard would grab you. And some people did not expect that at all. They were screaming for their life as soon as they're get over here.
Terrifying. It was unbelievable, And you look at those guys were dressed up. I mean, they look cool, but they were. It was very scary. You're already in a rush to do something. Your mind is trying to find the task of what you're trying to do, and then this freaking dude jumps out.
It's pretty much akin to being on a subway to work, rushing to work on a subway, and all of a sudden a knife wielding maniac or murderer jumps out you is give me your money quick.
Yeah,
because you have to give them a pendant or else they won't go away, and it takes up precious time. So yeah. I don't know what they were thinking in terms of the difficulty or the mindset of these temple runs, but I pretty much feel at least half of the temple runners have some sort of PTSD after going through that show because of
kids. There's a lot of crying kids backstage, a lot of kids who are scared and overwhelmed with the pressure, So,
Yeah, I remember one girl, I believe she did the heart-shaped pillow of Annie Taylor in season 2.
Yes.
She was so nervous the entire day before her temple run that she threw up in the pit of the pendulum, and they had to stop taping to clean up all the like balls in the ball pit. And I'm just like, oh man, poor girl. She's probably like convulsing, and they're just trying to get through the taping rapid fire.
Yeah.
I don't know how to do it. Luckily though, she made it through the temple in time. So, you know, all the stuff going against her somehow offset, you know, her ability to overcome the challenges.
That's cool. Maybe the temple guards laid off a little bit, you know, maybe they didn't jump out. Because I think they had, I don't know how planned out it was, but I think it was fairly planned out.
It was.
And like if you had like half a pennant or something, there's like no way you're getting through that thing. You're gonna get, you know what I mean? You're gonna lose it, and that's it.
Yeah.
So
it's best to go in prepared with 2 pendants if possible. But if you have one, usually if you like signal to your partner where it's like hanging on an actuator on a piece of the temple room, they can pick it up, and then they'll be saved when the 3rd temple guard comes out, so that they can keep moving without running out of time or, you know, being extracted.
A lot of coordination for little kids.
Really? Yeah,
planning.
because the age range was, I believe, like what, 8 to 15, something.
I think it was
around
11.
there?
I think it was 11 to 15 or something.
Both double digits. Yeah, the amount of winners, I mean, it was definitely planned out because every season had exactly the same amount of victories in the temple run. I believe that one where the pillow, the heart-shaped pillow, I think that was one where there were no temple guards. She didn't hit a single one, I think, on her run.
It's possible. I'll have to double check that one. There's definitely a flawless run I remember called the enormous nose ring of Babe the Blue Ox, which is like part of the Paul Bunyan Tall Tale.
Such a weird story, right?
Yeah, they throw in some of the weirdest half pardon my swearing tales where like it's half fiction, half history, half myth, and like, wait a minute, are they trying to teach me wrong facts that I'm gonna like get wrong on a quiz when I have history class in school?
Yeah. Season one they were fairly plausible. Like, okay, I can see. Season 2 is like, okay, wait a minute. Season 3 is like, okay, now you're just making stuff.
You run out of stuff. I mean, you got to have 120 things to, you know, cool, exciting things to come up with. So,
and they're all unique too. Like, who the heck is a Frua, and why does she have a shriveled hand? Or like, why did Amelia Earhart had a golden pig? Like, I guess fact checking didn't matter that much to them, but yeah. But speaking of the temple, let's do a breakdown of that temple run, because, you know, I'm sure listeners would love to hear it. So what happened with the temple run breakdown is that Jeremy was off to a pretty fast start. What happened was he ran into a temple guard in the crypt after opening up, you know, those 2 books that you had to pull away from the skeletons. And you knew right then that something was off, because it's not often that a temple guard would show up right off the bat in the crypt room or the ledges. So for some reason, I believe he was forced to go down and over through the pit. He made decent time there. And when he got into the Tomb of the Headless Kings, he happened to not find the skull after he pulled all the vines to release the bones and put the skull in one of the bodies.
Setting in the Tomb of the Headless Kings. There he goes. He's pulling the ropes, looking for the skull. I like this team. They're fast. Looking for the skull. Where is it? Buried among the bones. Somewhere he's got to look for that skull. It's around there somewhere. There it is. No, he tries the next one. Oh, he goes. He's heading off.
And he spent like a good 30 seconds in there looking for it, and it just happened to be sitting on like the stage left skeleton's knee, which I thought was kind of peculiar, unless it just happened to land right there. So after he put that on, he went up, got to the Shrine of Silver Monkey, you know, blazed for the other parts, no problem. And then when he got to the Room of the Secret Password, at just about the 1 minute mark left on the clock, temple guard took him out immediately. So you have a temple guard at the very beginning of the temple 2nd floor, at the very end of the 2nd floor.
Temple guard! It's time for release to go in.
And with all that ground covered, you're like, oh shoot. Now his partner has to cover all that ground, go 1 room down, and then make it out within 1 minute, which is pretty difficult. considering the fact that I've seen a few dozen temple runs in my day. And if you don't have at least like a good solid 50 seconds, by the time you touch the artifact and all the rooms open, you're going to be hard pressed to get out with any time left. You know, Elise had that going against her as a result going in. This is where the karma part comes in that we mentioned earlier. When she got down to the pit to get into the room of the Headless Kings, apparently the room leading into there was locked.
You got time. Oh, her partner Jeremy kicked the door shut when he passed through, so she's just gonna have to push hard. Still plenty of time. He cleared a great path for her.
And it was just like stuck there, and she's like going back and out, like, come on, do something, anybody. And it was like a good 30 seconds before, you know, you heard that switch trigger go on and the room opened up again. So after dealing with that stumbling block, she booked it up and over best she could. But literally, as soon as she got into the room with the secret password at the end, time ran out. And I'm just like, dang, if it weren't for those two hiccups with the Headless King, they would have at least gotten the artifact, because it was in the quicksand bog, one room below the room with the secret password.
Yeah, that sucks.
So I feel like if you were to run through that might have been a similar fate for you, because it just seemed like one of those instances of either bad luck or the producers were like, nope, we're not giving away the trip to Jamaica this time. Save it for like 5 episodes after this.
Yeah, you know when they were intentionally making it difficult when you got Temple Guard first thing. Like, nope, they're not winning.
The production, they had to balance out the amount of prizes, you know, grand prizes. Yes. And then since I've always wondered, like, I didn't get the prize that they advertised that I was going to get. I got some other random thing, which was cool to have the karaoke machine.
I think that was cooler than the ones they showed, because I think the prizes for the temple were like a Magnavox tiny 12-inch TV. There was like encyclopedia.
Wasn't one of them like trip? Wasn't one of them like a trip? Yeah.
Yeah, it was like a trip to a resort. So, you know, that one's pretty cool. But the others were like, I already got those.
Right.
And they were so one-sided. I mean, you get the grand prize. Awesome. Every other prize, ring pops,
or like a
Beauty.
remote control car. Yeah, I don't know what they were thinking with kind of figuring out the appropriate like tier risks to rewards going through it. But I think it worked out for you in the end. There's this one episode called the Oracle Bowl of Delphi from season 1, where the losers of the Steps of Knowledge actually got super soakers. Like, and it wasn't even the small ones either. It was like the 225 XP one with double nozzle action with like the lever. I'm like, oh man, I would have lost on purpose for that had I known that was going to be the prize.
Yeah, it's Kush balls or something stupid, you know.
Yeah, I do remember Kushlings being a popular Moat prize, and like Tia Tamara Maori just like, look how cool it is. Don't you want one? Nah.
It also makes you wonder if the contestants all really did get those prizes, or if it was just, hey, we have this thing, take it, and then they just use the prizes as advertisements on the show.
Yeah, probably, because I didn't get mine. So
yeah, at least we debunked that myth. Right. So before we move on to our trivia challenge, I'm kind of wondering, Joe, if you had the opportunity to go through the temple in place of Jeremy, how would you do the temple run differently to get to the Warfan in the quicksand bog?
I don't know. It's hard to say. I mean, with it being, so hectic and you're just trying to get through there as fast as possible. Mm-hmm. I don't know if I would have done any different, or if the outcome would have been any different,
With the reboot now coming out, would you
want
to do
that? I applied.
Oh, you did?
Yes.
Yeah. But we never heard anything back. So I think they're already, yeah. A different buddy and I, we applied, because you have to apply with a, 2 people apply at this point. So that this time you'd be on the show with whoever you applied
right.
with.
It was more paired up.
Right. But they just have a bunch of questions that I don't know if you guys looked at it or not, the application online. But yeah, I think it might still be online. You can look at the questions and kind of see the things that they ask. It's kind of interesting. But I uploaded the photo of like me as a kid, and then me, as an adult. And like, that was the photo. So I'm like, hey, maybe if they see that, because I think they wanted prior contestants, but
anything to make you stand out.
Yeah. I mean, I tried. So redemption, but didn't hear back.
I'm sorry. If they get renewed for another season, then they might try again.
There's always hope. Well, I give you a lot of credit for just getting on the show and being able to talk with you today, because that's honestly the next best thing. Thank you so much for joining us for this special inside look at being a contestant on Legends of the Hidden Temple.
Yes, Joe. Thank you so much.
Yeah, man, it was fun.
But before we go, we are going to test your temple knowledge with a little second segment called Think Fast to Make the Grade. There's going to be 5 questions. 2 questions are 1 point. Then there's 2 two-parters because they have a bonus aspect to it. So you can get either 1 or 2 points for those. And then the last question is worth 3 points. Hands on your buzzers. Get ready to think. Buzzers, sorry. Yes, hand on your buzzards that you pulled from the desert next to the Aztec temple that we are on right now. Yeah, anyways. Question 1. How many seasons and episodes were filmed for the original run of the series? I saw Joseph first.
Go ahead, Joe.
3 seasons, 40 episodes each, 120 episodes total.
That is correct.
Ding, 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 ding.
Joe has 1 point, Alex 0. Question 2. Olmec is voiced by D. Bradley Baker. What other 2 90s Nickelodeon shows has he acted for? And I'll give you a hint. They are both sci-fi themed. Alex.
I doubt it, but Space Cases
And
yes.
No.
Do I get half a point?
Yes is a musical band, not a show. I hate to break it to you. Joe, do you have any guesses?
I don't have the second one.
Was it like Are You Afraid of the Dark or something like that?
Nope.
Journey of Alan Strange.
That is one of them. But
Hey,
the other one is a deep cut. It is called The Brothers Flub, and that aired in 1999, and it was an animated show that only lasts for a season. So that was a kind of a tough one. But yeah, apparently.
Yeah, and that makes sense as to why I didn't remember that, because I was just remarking earlier about how as a teen I was getting out of it, and I got out at 98. So it makes sense why I didn't know that one.
Yeah, I was out of it by 99 for sure at that point.
That's fair. I should have mentioned the other episode. I mean, the other Nick shows that he's been on, but it probably wouldn't have mattered.
No,
he did voice work for Avatar: The Last Airbender, Legend of Korra, Fairly Odd Parents, and SpongeBob. You know, he's been around. But Olmec was his first voice role for Nickelodeon, so that's pretty cool. All right, score remains the same. 1 point Joe, 0 for Alex. Question 3. This is a 2-parter, so you have a chance to win 2 points here, and I'll ask them one at a time. There are 2 temple runs that are regarded as the fastest recorded runs of the entire series of Legends. Can you name the team colors of both the artifacts and those episodes? Alex.
I'm going to try color for at least one of them, and I'm going to say Silver Snakes.
And do you know any of the artifact names for the records?
I don't know the artifact names.
Incorrect for both.
Okay.
All right.
I am on a streak.
I'll give it a try. Let's do
it might be easier than you think.
Was it orange iguanas? Is that one of them with orange?
That's a team.
Okay, I'll pick orange. I'll pick orange, and then who knows what the artifact is? Any number of things. I have no idea.
So it's kind of neat how this worked out, because you were on the Red Jaguars, but both of these records are held by Red Jaguars players. Yeah, it is.
And that's my favorite team too. Crap.
Yep. It is the Mask of Shaka Zulu from season 1 and the Ivory Hunting Horn of Roland from season 3. And the bonus part, you probably won't know it since you didn't get the first one, but how much time was left on the clock for either of those teams when they got out of the temple?
1.
8 seconds. 2 seconds.
Alex was the closest, so I'll give him the point.
Yes!
1 minute. To be specific, the Mask of Shaka Zulu, they had 1 minute 14 seconds left on the clock, and the Ivory Hunting Horn of Roland had 1 minute 11 seconds on the clock. And I do want to add that the mask one was a rather cheap victory, because it was a production error where a door that was locked became unlocked by the kid, and he just managed to get through, and they're like, oh, we better just give it to him because we only have enough money to tape this live. That was that. And then the Hunting Horn was a legit one, and it was actually a solo run by one of the few African American temple runners that got out through the temple. So that's really like the real one. Yeah. All right. So question 4. This is also a 2-parter, chance to win 2 points. For efficiency's sake, many shows, especially game shows, are filmed in a certain order that are different from the order that they air. What was the first filmed episode of Legends and what was the first aired episode of Legends?
I got nothing on that one.
No clue.
Do you want to give me the Temple Runner color? I'll give you that.
Okay, the Temple Runner color. We'll go. I'm going orange again.
Nope, it was red again. I was trying to make this in your favor because you're the Red Jaguar. So the episode that was filmed first was Blackbeard's Treasure Map. And the episode that aired first was Lawrence Arabia's Headdress, which was a green monkey. And they One didn't get through the temple at all, and the other one got through the temple entirely. And then the bonus part of that question is, how many episodes on average of Legends of the Hidden Temple were filmed per day of shooting? Joe?
On average, I'm gonna say it was 5.
Yes, that is correct.
All right.
5 to 6. But I'll give it to you. So we got Joe with 2 points, Alex with 0. But Alex can come back in the end with question 5 because it is 3 points.
All right.
And the nice thing about this is that it's multiple choice. So you don't even have to be a Legends diehard to get it right if you use your powers of deduction.
Oh, no.
Question 5, the final question. While many artifacts have unique names in the show, some names often repeat the same adjective to describe them in the legend. Is the most repeated artifact adjective on the show A, lost, B, golden, C, missing, or D, stone? I saw Alex raise his hand first.
I'm going to say golden.
Golden is correct.
Hey!
Golden actually appeared 9 times on the show throughout the 120 episode run. And they are the following episodes because I like trivia and I researched it. So we have the Golden Chains of Zenobia from season 1, the Golden Cricket Cage of Khan from season 1, the Golden Cup of Belshazzar from season 1, the Golden Jaguar of Atapuerca from season 1, the Golden Earring of Henry Morgan from season 2, the Golden Goblet of Attila the Hun from season 2, the Golden Pepperoni of Catherine de Medici of season 2, the Golden Stallion of Ali Baba from season 2, and the Golden Spider Web of Robert the Bruce from season 3. Lost appeared 8 times, Missing appeared 3 times, and Stone appeared 2 times in that statistics. So yeah, thank you so much for playing Think Fast to Make the Grade. It looks like Alex beat you out with just 1 point. Yeah, so that pretty much concludes our Olmec Trivia Gauntlet. That concludes our overview of the War Fan of the 47 Ronin. Joe, thank you so much for being here today to talk with us. Didn't think it would be possible to still find Legends contestants almost 30 years later, but hey, we're
I'm 40 now, so.
Wow, yeah. Time flies when you're reminiscing about the 90s.
Yeah, big time.
Socials time.
Yes, socials time. Where can everyone follow us who are avid listeners of Splat Attack?
Well, for Splat Attack, if you want to follow Splat Attack individually, we are available on Instagram, Twitter, Tumblr. There is a YouTube channel, and I was going to say Podbean, but Podbean does have something, but it's not really that much. But mostly Instagram and Facebook and things like that. If you would like to follow us individually, you can follow me on Instagram at True 90s Nickelodeon, or you can follow me on Facebook, which is actually a bit of a flip, but it's 90s Nickelodeon, the True 90s, and also 90s Nick Fan on Twitter. Mostly, though, Instagram is where you're going to find me at. Mr. Bret, where can they find you?
Yes, you can find me mainly on Instagram. I don't really do other social media just because I'm a monotasker at heart. So sorry, I'm on Facebook, but don't talk to me there. I'm on Instagram at Bret Wilson Art. I'm there all the time. I love connecting with 90s Nickelodeon fans. Doesn't matter what you like, as long as you want to talk about it with us or connect with me to get some art prints, stickers, posters, commissions. I do that for people as well. You can definitely contact me through there. You can also email me at brett.michaelwilson@gmail.com. Or if you have a question, listener topic, or just like to write to us on Splat Attack, you can contact us via email at splatattack2021@gmail.com.
And if you all would like, just for kicks and giggles, because Legends love to just make up items, not artifacts by the last season, what artifact would you like to put in the Temple Run?
All right, Gackoids, time to put away your pendants. We'll catch you next time for another Legend of the Hidden Temple. See ya.
Reprise the theme song and roll the credits.
Hard to believe, folks, but it's time to say goodbye.
Nighty-night.
Hey, check us out next time for more adventure and another great Legend of the Hidden Temple.
What'll we do till then?
Chill for a couple. We'll be back.
You're on, Nick.
And it was time for the superhero to move on. I declare this meeting of the Midnight Society closed.
Bye-bye.
The legend of the war fan of the 47 Ronin.
Oh, the war fan of the 47 Ronin.